Okay.
Hey, welcome to this week's episode of Salsa, Boys. We got Chris on with us, a Florida native. Well, actually,
Not a
California native. California, right?
Canadian.
Canadian native. Well, I was close there with a
Right.
Native.
You know I was a native of somewhere.
Yeah. I just know you do a lot of traveling.
I do
We
indeed.
got Chris on. He has a pretty interesting job, and we have a cool story of how we met. So we're just going to get right into it.
Cool. It's good to be here, Tony. Good to be here, Sam. Fun to be on Salsa Boys. I enjoy talking to you guys about this little project, so it's good to be part of it. And Tony and I and Sam met because, part of the local Gulf Coast of Florida Grateful Dead scene and live music that we both enjoy. And he alluded to my job, and I help small independent travel agencies grow their business and become more successful. So it's a pretty rewarding life and gives me a chance to go lots of places.
Yeah, you've seen a lot of cool places. I've seen that you've been on some really cool cruise ships and stuff like that. So
Yeah, I just got off the new Celebrity Beyond, which was an amazing ship, and I've been on lots of cruises and tours. I got one state left to knock off before I've been to all 50, which is Alaska, and I hope to do that sometime next year.
Jeez. You ever go on these new ships? They're just built. Do you ever get nervous that they're gonna sink or anything?
Not the new ones, no. It's the older ones that you go on that don't have the stabilizers that you gotta worry about. Yeah. The new ones have the best of technology, and technology is pretty amazing. I mean, in case in point, I was just on two of them back to back. One, a very old ship with a different company that didn't have any of the bells and whistles, and you felt every single rock of the boat, like you were in a 76 Vega with a bad transmission. And then the new one, the next day, seas were just as rough, but it was just like smooth sailing. You didn't even know.
You ever been to the Queen Mary in California?
I have. It's basically a floating garbage dump at this point.
Yeah, it's rough. I stayed on there. It's haunted.
Stayed on there as well. I've heard that too.
It's scary stuff. But Sam, welcome back. We haven't had you on in a while.
Yeah, it's glad to be back.
What you been up to?
Just things and stuff.
Better than the alternative,
yeah,
right?
Pretty much.
Just been killing the tie-dye game. Just been focusing on that. So, But for this week's episode of Salsa, the pickings were slim. So we went with Taco Bell mild salsa. You said you couldn't handle a lot of heat, so we grabbed something a little mild for you.
I appreciate that. I didn't have salsa. Like I said, I'm Canadian. I didn't have salsa until I was like 16 on my own. I think my dad never had salsa once in his life. You know what I mean? It just like ketchup was spicy. We're just that, we're that Irish.
Yeah.
Jeez. Whereabouts in Canada were you from?
Originally from Montreal.
Okay.
Lived all over. My dad was in construction. We moved most of my life. I spent most of my life moving from school to school. So
yeah, when I was in Europe, when I was in Italy, I met some people in Florence that were from the French part of Canada. That Montreal or
that's Quebec.
Right?
Quebec is the province. Montreal is the biggest city.
They didn't
in that
speak
province.
very much English. Like it was all pretty much French.
It's an interesting dynamic there. And I'm not going to get into all of it from every point of view because that would, turn this show into a little bit more of a politics kind of thing, and we don't want to do that.
No.
But yeah, the French-English dynamic in Montreal and Quebec has been a pretty interesting thing if you follow it over the last 50 years. So
let's grab some chips. We're using On the Border cafe style.
Cool. So my first job ever was at Taco Bell. Like my first legit job where I had to punch a clock was at Taco Bell.
So it's like a full circle moment for you.
It is, absolutely.
Well, let us know what you think. I mean, you would be the guy to know if this is legit. I'm going to go for a second one here. So I was thinking I saw the mild. I thought for sure it was going to taste just like their mild sauce. But so far...
Do you ever have a drawer of those? Like you open the drawer, there's like 50 Taco Bell mild sauces, 4 hot ones.
I love the fire. The fire is my favorite. I like the fire. The hot I don't think has that good of flavor. And then the mild has good flavor, like smoky. But these have this stuff called lava sauce. I don't know if you know what there's like a cheese sauce kind of, but it was like, I don't know, different. And it was super good. And they'd have like the lava tacos.
I mean, my first impression of this salsa is that it's exactly what you would expect from Taco Bell under a mild salsa. It doesn't bring a lot of extraordinary flavor. It's not too overpowering though. It certainly would be one of those, if you were trying to please everybody and have some salsa, would be okay. But if you're trying to have some good salsa, you probably keep shopping.
Those.
Yeah, keep shopping.
Yeah.
Have you been to Pepper Palace? There's one on St. Armand's Circle. They're all around. Actually, they're actually from Wisconsin originally. We had one of the general managers on a while ago on the show. We did it at Pepper Palace. But they have some extraordinary salsas, different. They have a hummus salsa that was pretty strange. I didn't like that one. But then they have one called Death by Salsa. Sam got to try it. It is like the hottest thing I've ever had. Like
beyond spicy.
I couldn't even talk. Like I was trying to talk to the camera, and like my uncle was on it, Uncle Tomato.
I was just trying to focus on my breath, and it just felt like I was breathing fire.
I mean, that's not for me an enjoyable kind of experience, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I watch those videos sometimes right online of people who eat hot stuff, and I'm blown away by their dedication to that craft, but to me it's just not enjoyable. But with that said, the funny thing is, the one thing I wish this salsa had would be a little bit more back end heat.
Yeah.
Like even not a lot, but just a little bit, right? Like I'm pretty much your typical white boy as you get. You can look at my ancestry DNA. But I would like a little bit, like a little bit more something.
Yeah, this is definitely not even mild. This is like, I'm not tasting any spice at all.
I gotta say though, like, it's got a good blend of like the tomatoes and the peppers, and like flavor wise, it's not bad for a mild salsa. Like it's not like, doesn't taste just like tomato soup or anything.
It just strikes me, if you were to get together, like, it's exactly what it is. If you got 40 people in a room and they all had and they wanted to try to find the medium of what 40 people could tolerate across the spectrum of like no spice to a lot of spice, this is probably what the majority of people would have like leaned towards.
For the longest time, I always thought that mild was hotter than medium. So that's why I went medium, mild, hot. So I'd buy mild, I'm like, this is not hot at all.
Right.
And then I would go to a hot, and then I realized medium's right in the middle. And then I found my way. I'm like, this is perfect. You can add a little more spice to it if you want. Doesn't kill you in the morning on your eggs.
Right, exactly, yeah.
Anyways, I mean, if you were to rate the salsa 1 to 10, where would you sit with that?
Probably like, for my personal taste, like about a 5.5, to be honest with you. I'd want a little bit more heat and a little bit more flavor, like Sam said, something that had a few more spices overall.
What about you, Sam?
I'm going to be a little harsh. I'm going to give it a 1.
Whoa. Maybe
a 1.5. It's a little too saucy for me, and not very much spice at all. I would prefer a salsa to be a little chunkier. And there's no spice at all. I don't like too much spice, but I like a decent amount.
Yeah.
Spice is right. Yeah, I would say I'm right there. I'd say a 4. I'm going to go with a 4. It's not terrible, but it's not something I'd ever buy again.
Mm-hmm.
But with that said, you know what I mean? If I did buy it, I'm not throwing out half a jar. Like, the's no doubt that I would finish the jar of salsa.
Oh, absolutely. And this, like you're saying,
eat it, but
in a group setting, like if you're just having a get together and you want some salsa, I mean, this salsa is not expensive. I think it was under $5.
Wow.
And everybody can eat this.
Right.
I don't know if you have what's it called, GERD or acid reflux at all. That it wouldn't trigger that.
Not unless the tomatoes did it to you. You know what I mean? But no, certainly not going to be from a spice. It's not going to be one of those ones where you don't have to have a glass of milk sitting around eating this salsa. Let's just put it that way.
I think I can do a glass of milk at every sitting. I eat milk, drink milk all the time. I mean, dinner, breakfast, People think I'm weird. He calls me out. He's like, "You drinking a glass of milk?"
Good for a young man. Age will catch up with you, and you'll have to switch to the lactose free like the rest of us old guys.
Yeah, I know. I'm dreading that thing. I actually don't mind. My aunt drinks the lactate, and that actually tastes pretty good. The 2%. Pour it in a glass and go to her house. It has like a different flavor to it, but still creamy. You like eggnog?
Not really, to be honest. No.
Really? Oh man, I'm on this eggnog kick right now because it's the holidays. The Borden, that's the best.
If I'm gonna go, we're doing Christmas, I'll just do hot chocolate and an adult beverage. Sometime we'll mix it in. We're actually gonna be in New Orleans for Christmas, and we're gonna do the peanut butter bourbon and hot chocolate. Now, how's that sound for a little warm drink?
Sounds pretty good.
And they got some really good drinks, like the Hurricane, I think, right?
Yeah, exactly.
There's some really good drinks down there. I went to New Orleans and I went to an absinthe bar. Now that was pretty interesting. They drip it over a sugar cube into the glass, like the absinthe, and it doesn't taste. It tastes kind of like licorice,
Right.
but Man, it just it's strong.
Fairly strong.
Yeah.
I've definitely had a shot or two of absinthe in my life, and I don't know if I'd recommend it.
I remember drinking. I remember the beginning of it.
Right.
That's about it.
I think a lot of absinthe stories start that way. You know, it was really great to start with, and then somehow he ended up at home.
It was at a jazz hall.
Okay. Because they have like a couple of speakeasies, right, in
Yeah.
New Orleans, especially on Bourbon Street. Like, you know, they're not advertised, or maybe they're advertised, but they don't have an address, or there's no like marquee out front. You just have to stumble through the
Yeah,
lobby. You know,
there's
it's
some-
on the second story or something.
Well, there's a place here in Sarasota. I don't know if you ever heard of Alchemy Lab. You enter through the alley downtown Sarasota. Really cool spot.
Is that right? Yeah, I've never been there. Yeah, I mean, this is like salsa that you would just eat doing this, right? Just chatting and
It's a great salsa to chat with your boys.
Yeah.
The
I mean-
salsa boys.
I mean, you know, like I would spice it up and I would do a little bit more, but you know, you could do worse. I mean, you know, it's better than not having any
While we're
condiment
on
with
it,
chips.
what's the best salsa you ever had?
Oh, I don't know if I can name. I don't know if I have a brand, but there's that Mexican restaurant on University.
Which one?
Just
Fuzzies? Or no?
No, not Fuzzies. Just where the public restaurant is. There, it's a family restaurant, fairly sizable, and I can't believe I don't remember the name of it. They have a great salsa in there. I think they have.
Is it up by like Carrabba's over there? And
It's just before you get to like Detweiler's grocery stores on one side, and then there's a Walmart on the other side, and it's just before that as you head back down towards Tamiami.
oh, okay.
Yeah. But anyway, but they have a great salsa. I
Okay.
mean, that's one that comes to mind as far as like a local salsa.
Do you
but I
remember
don't
the
really
first
have-
time you had salsa?
The first time?
Yeah, do you remember that?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. I was we went on a high school trip. I was on the speech and debate team, and we were out on the road, and the rest of the class picked this Mexican restaurant, like in Torrington, Wyoming, or something like that, and they brought out chips and salsa, and that was the first time I ever had salsa.
Mine was blown, huh?
It was.
Life was never the same.
Life was never the same, Sam. It's a good way to put it, sir. Yeah.
Yeah, I love salt.
I will
Salsa's
say, I
life.
keep having a little bit more of the salsa, hoping that like that small amount of spice that is in the salsa will add up, but it hasn't.
Yeah, I know. It's not terrible. I keep eating
No, it's
it.
not terrible.
I've
but like
never
I
had
said,
salsas where I'll never touch it. The bowl's full,
Yeah.
and I'll just leave it. It's like, here, you can take this home.
Just a little
Right.
too saucy. I like my salsa a little bit more chunky.
Right. Yep.
You know, I think we touched base on everything. It was nice having you on.
Thanks, son.
Sam, welcome back to another episode of Salsa
Yeah,
Boys.
it's good to be back.
Stay tuned. Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe. There's a lot more to come.